But now we're taking it back to where it needs to go. And I reached out to this man, and I have a lot of love and respect for him. His voice is a testament to our music. I mean, house music without this man doesn't exist in my book. His records are amazing. Even the ones from the beginning all the way through the 90s. I used to see him all the time in WMC, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. But, you know, the one record that it's like either it's a ball and chain or a glory, stands the test of time, is Someday. As it was important then, it's as important as it is now. I'd like to introduce from New Jersey, one of the greatest people I know, one of the most talented brothers I know, one of the most voices that is very recognizable next to Teddy Pendergrass and D-Train and Michael Wofford and all those great names. Put your hands together for Mr. CeCe Rogers.
Hey, Lenny. Hey, how are you, man? It's good to be here. Very good. It's an honor.
How you handling through COVID, first of all?
It's been very challenging. You know, just a couple of things, a couple of variations. I think mostly dealing with death in the sense of how I've been dealing with it. I've never had so many people that I've known in such a short span not just get sick, but actually die. Just too many for me to even mention. From friends and family. So I think that's been more of the challenge for me of trying to stay positive and cope. I never really sweat about, you know, I hear a lot of my friends complaining about, man, we lost so much money, you know, we would be on tour, we'd be doing it. And, you know, as long as we have our health and our strength, you know, that'll return, that'll come back. However, you know, death, there's no coming back.
That's true. You can never replace those great souls and the talent and the friendships and the family that we've all lost due to this. But when it first started, who the hell ever thought this was this horrific?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm more I think I'm more upset at my country, our country, you know. It's you know, it's I try not to, I refuse, ever since this guy was elected, man, I refuse to comment or say anything about the political thing. But as John Lewis says, if you don't speak about it, you're just as guilty, man. And you know, I don't want to get off the subject of what we want to talk about.
No, it's all right. Let's talk about it. We got plenty of time. Don't worry about it.
America has never been behind or treated like a third world country, ever, that I know of. And I'm up there in age. I'm over 50 and you're over 50. We have always been admired. We've always, you know, we could literally say we were the best country when it comes to science or to technology or to innovations. We you know, whether they made it from China or whatever, we came out with the phones. You know, our diversity, our ethics, you know, us being multicultural is why we're number one country. But now this division is showing how, you know, you and I are banded from going to Europe right now. I never.
How does that make you feel? Because I feel terrible about this. You don't know.
I can't get on a plane and go to Italy right now. I can't go to Spain or because what? Incredible, Lenny, right? It's surprise. It's like, you know, it's almost like I'm in a bad dream. You know, it's normally, you know, but we know the reasons why. I don't want to, you know.
No, this is the reason. There's never been a time in history where America was banned to travel anywhere outside its own borders, ever. Well, you know, I was promised we were going to have a border wall. They didn't mention that we're going to be bordered in like a jail. That was never part of my deal with that border wall. I went, I don't never want this border wall. But now, if you travel and you earn your coins and I say your coins from traveling as a DJ, as an artist, choreography, dancing, whatever you do, pilot, you're just a pilot, cruise director, anything. This is the first time in my lifetime, no less yours and many of others, where you could take that gloriful passport and put it next to the toilet paper. That's what it's just about good for right now.
Absolutely.
But you know what? Wipe your tears, CeCe, because goddamn, we're gonna get through this. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
we're in an election year and some major changes are happening. You know, people keep telling me everything must change. I don't like that expression, but it does happen. It does happen. It's forcing people to realize that you are in no control of anything.
Absolutely.
First time in my life, I feel like I had no control of anything. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel. But you know, I have these conversations with many great artists, and they all feel the same. They're like, look, we're just going to stick it out, and God help us. With Godspeed, we can get through this, and we will do everything we can. We'll just stay vigilant and stay healthy. That's the other part, because I keep hearing about a second wave coming back. And that's what's scary. Is it going to be worse than the first one? Are they going to wind up closing down everything again? Where are we going to be at with this? News came from Ibiza. And Italy and Europe, Germany said, we are shutting down all parties now. Everything stopped again, like really stopped. They gave it a moment of reprieve. They gave time for people to try out some things, and they didn't like what they saw. So the most important thing is just keep making music. But you know what, people? We're not here to have you try those gosh damn eyes. Come on now. I want to make CeCe, I want him to tell you his story. And when I say his, like history, his story, because his story is very important. And I want to ask the first question. Where does CeCe come from? We know it came from his mom and dad, you know, and he was born. We got that part. But we don't really know the real CeCe. We want to know, when he was a little kid, what was the influences? We know he's a musician. We know he's a singer. But I'm going to let CeCe tell you that. Go ahead, man. You tell him where you come from, boy. Go ahead.
Okay, it was pretty simple. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, the Midwest, which is about an hour away from Detroit. In Ohio, where Dayton, I lived growing up. I lived in Dayton. I lived in Atlanta. My mom moved around a lot, all over Cleveland. So I grew up basically, you know, in the church, as most young Black musicians do, and playing piano. But I also had a classical background. Was introduced to jazz in high school and loved it. Got a scholarship to go to Berklee College of Music.
CeCe, just 1 second, bro. Just bring up your volume a little bit. A couple of people mentioned the volume is a little low from your end.
Gotcha. Let me.
They're saying, please, we want to hear the story, and it's a little low.
Is that better? Is that better?
The children are crying like it's just low. Bring him up. Bring him up. I don't have no control.
Is that better? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. So where were we? Before
too much. Bring it down just a little bit. You're distorting.
Okay. Is that better? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. There you go.
2. Okay. So before going to college, like I said, I grew up in the church. I played in jazz band. I went to Shaw High School. Hey, Shaw Cardinals. And I was introduced to a lot of type of music, as far as classical, jazz, funk, and gospel, pretty much. And I carried all of that with me as I went into to Berklee, study. I had a wonderful opportunity of meeting musicians there that would become, you know, legends in themselves in jazz, whether it was Branford, Wynton Marsalis, God, so many names that I forgot, but jazz cats, funk cats, people that were finding themselves. My partner Rico Tyler, shout out to you. And I would go on to, after college, I came to New Jersey, well, New York actually, where I kind of ran to you before you even knew who I was, because you were playing.
I was at Underground at that time.
Yeah, you was Underground. I knew who you were. You didn't know who I was. I was struggling. I literally lived. I was in Central Park for 2 weeks before I found a spot here in New Jersey and moved. Well, no, I actually stayed in the village for a little while, and then I moved here. But like most struggling musicians, I got into going to the clubs, the Village
Okay,
Vanguard.
so before you go further, tell people paint the picture what Central Park and New York was like at that time when you trying to get in there.
1984, a little bit before the Central Park Five, Reverend Sharpton. It was crazy. Central Park was a dangerous area. I had a car, I had a Ford, and I had nowhere else to go. You know, a week. I never forget because I didn't know my surroundings, but it was amazing. But I got to see uh, the not so good parts of New York at the time, the hungry, but the people were still nice even then, it was not um, I can't say how, you said it was dangerous, but Lenny, I'm gonna tell you what happened to me.
Tell it, did please tell. This is what makes it real. Come on, that's true house stories. Come on now.
I didn't get into the violent part, but I did get a lady. I show you how why New York. This is one of the reasons why New York, big state of New York, never supported Donald Trump, because we know a con artist when we see one, right? And he's from New York, but let's not go into that. We're just going to just be honest. I came from Cleveland, and I saw. I thought I was getting a deal. I was at Penn Station, and I saw a nice white woman with a little kid trying to sell a TV because she had to get out of town real quick. Okay. And she got me for $300. Lenny, the TV had a rock in it, right? That was my, that was my first experience in New York City. Con artist.
It's called, yo, man.
She knew she saw me coming.
That's the bamboozle.
I bought a TV, thought it was a $300. She had the Fast Eddie. She had the seat. Remember Eddie? Remember Fast? What was it? What was the big
Crazy
electric?
Eddie? Crazy Eddie?
Crazy Eddie. She had the box. It was wrapped. She was like, oh, I got to get out of here. I was moving. My husband was gone. But she had this whole good story, white woman. I'm like, oh, I got a good deal. She wanted like $500. I got her down to 300. I got that damn thing. It was a rock in it. Never forget.
Heavy ass piece of crap you paid for. TV was
I was
so
a big
good
thing going around tours. Yeah.
Now wait. So not only that, you got to drag this damn thing back. You paid.
Man.
I got a great TV, but what'd you get? A big piece of SHIT. Rock shit.
That was one of my first experience. So yeah, that was crazy. Then I stayed in New York City for like 6 months, and then I found my way over to New Jersey, and that's where I would stay to this day.
New Jersey.
Start
in the Oranges area. Where are you now? In which part of Jersey?
I've been East for a while now, but I'm in the Montclair area now.
Okay, that's a beautiful area. Very beautiful. But
nice.
Back then, there was a club called Zanzibar.
Absolutely.
Larry Patterson and T. Scott.
Yes.
Working it before Tommy Humphries became huge.
Humphries came through there. David Morales came through there. Yeah.
David Morales, if he's watching, we always mention, we forget to mention, but yes, it's true. David Morales came through Zanzibar. Hippie Morales opened the club.
Hippie Morales, oh my gosh. Yeah.
So you haven't done music yet. You're still trying to find your way. So you got into New York, you're looking around, you made it to Jersey.
I'm doing music.
So tell us, what's going on? What's going on at that time?
I had a job. I had a substitute teaching job. I was in the school substitute teaching and playing in the clubs, getting around, trying to shop material for 3 years before I signed to Atlantic and met Marshall Jefferson. I was shopping around trying to get a deal, trying to come out doing R&B. I would audition.
That's what I was going to ask you. What was the genre?
I went to Atlantic. I went to Casablanca, Epic, all of the radio stations, all the record companies. And it wasn't that they turned me down. They actually hired me. They actually had me but they didn't see me as an artist. They didn't see me, you know, I was over 350 pounds, you know, I just wasn't marketable at that time. And it was already a Luther Vandross. I was doing commercials. I started off, one of my first major gigs was working behind Melba Moore and Freddie Jackson and Lilo Thomas. I worked over at Hush Production as an MD with bands, you know. So I was working, but I couldn't go ahead. And I was kind of accept that like, cool, you know. I remember people saying the guy can sing, he's, you know, he plays several instruments, but yeah, we can't really, you know, we don't see him, you know, at that time. Even then, even for a male artist, you had to have a, you know, that whole image just didn't require you to be, you know, talented. You had to have a certain look, you had to have a certain, you know, you got to understand Michael Jackson and those cats was dominating. So, you know, it just didn't fall with women. It was just, you know, record business in the business for selling a brand. And I just was not marketable. Even Luther Vandross had it hard at that time. And that's where house music saved me, allowed me to have a career, because they didn't give a damn about how you look. It was always about the feel. And that was a good thing.
Was that because of the MTV thing that was going on? Because remember, MTV had just gotten to the point where it's becoming the thing that everyone's trying to get their records on.
Yeah, MTV was putting a different spin. People were coming at that time. When I came along, by the time I signed to Atlantic, you couldn't do a album without having at least 1 or 2 videos. So yeah, there was a visual thing going on in the mid '80s.
Right. So people don't get that. They don't understand that it wasn't just that magical voice, because think about it. If you looked at, say, the Spinners, the band The Spinners and stuff, would they have been able to be marketable in that time if they didn't have all the history behind them, all the gold records behind them? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we didn't have that visual. You just you put the music on, you heard it, and you loved it. It wasn't about a visual thing. And then MTV changed the whole game. And
well,
what's that like for you, you know, as an artist?
I think it was always that way. When you had Teddy Pendergrass or People Thompson, there was always good looking guys out there. But you know, when MTV came along, well, because when MTV first came out, they really wasn't supporting Black artists. You know, they were more or less, you know, concentrating on pop. You know, it wasn't until BET, but BET was coming along at that time as well. So I think that, you know, music videos, you know, exposed it more, but it was not a major thing. You didn't have to be, but you had the Chitlin circuits, which was live performance, and you had to be good. You know, in my case, like I said, I was pushing 370 when I got out of school. I was a big dude. I look at some of the videos when I was performing at Club 88, and my manager, who actually who put Marshall and I together, you know.
Who was that manager at that time?
Our manager at the time was Billy Press.
I'm from Zanzibar.
Billy from Zanzibar, Club America.
Billy Press.
He saw the talent. Now the thing is that he was just like any other A&R guy. When he first saw me, I was performing with a group called Platinum Hook. When he first saw me, I think he came around because I was always local. There was a lot of local clubs around here. There was Zanzibar, there was Mr. West, there was Bogies, there was, oh man, I can't remember a lot of the places. Club 88, there was just so many.
Club 280, Peppermint Lounge.
The Peppermint Lounge. There was all these clubs, and I was there. I was always there. But again, there was wow, he's a great performer. He sounds, you know, and then I really hadn't found myself because I sound a lot like Luther. There was this, you know, I was doing everything that Luther was. I hadn't really come out and really found who CeCe Rogers was. I was still.
What song was at that time that you remember that you did? That, you know, what was the song that was standing out that you were like at that time pushing hard, hoping to get a deal on? What was, because everybody has that one song you say, damn, this is right. I know this can get signed. Pre-Someday, of course. You know,
a song called "Lonely Girl" that was on my first album. It was, but it was very R&B. It was very what I grew up with, and I didn't see what I knew what house music was. You know, it was just something. What I loved about house back then was that it was amazing for me because, you know, you had gay and straight people going in the clubs, black and white, and they're going in there hanging out, Studio 54 or the garage, and there was no check, there was no people fighting, you couldn't get that at a hip hop club. It was like, what is this? You know, and people would go in at 9 o'clock. You know, we would go in with t-shirts on and we would dance and perform all night. I loved it. But
Well,
Lenny, it was underground.
well,
I did not
you're
you
painting
gotta
a
remember
picture.
at that time, that music wasn't being played on the radio. You got to remember, there was a separation. What you were playing in 84, 85 was just in the club. The only time you heard it on the radio was when Tony Humphries was playing it on Kiss FM or different.
Or Timmy Regisford or Merlin Bob.
Timmy Regisford stuff. They weren't really playing it mainstream. In fact, it never really got mainstream until much, much later. But it was going mainstream overseas.
Yes, that never changed. Dance music was always prevalent. But you know, you're painting a picture of what Bentleys looked like on a Saturday night R&B. And I can see
Shadow, Silver Shadow, remember? Yeah,
right, Silver Shadow and Sugar Daddy DJ. And I remember, I could just see it.
Yeah.
Jeans,
Kevin Whitley's club. Yeah, what's it?
So you're trying to make records that you want him to play, so that maybe Frankie Crocker would get on BLS. Like somehow,
right. I was pushing myself as the next Luther or the next. I was going and that's the direction I wanted to go. I was already behind like Freddie Jackson. I was already in there. I worked with, you know, I was a music director with Whitney Houston. I was behind the scenes trying to push out, you know.
You hear that, people? You hear that? He said that. He was behind the scenes. It wasn't like he was just discovered out of nowhere. He was there.
Oh yeah. For 3 years, I was behind the scenes. Working hard. And like I said, I was, you know, it wasn't that they were just closing the doors. It was like, what can we do with them? And like you said, the record company, you gotta understand, it's always been about business, okay? Can we make a living with this? Can we make some money with this guy? No, okay? Can we use his music? Let's sign you to a publishing deal. Let's sign you to a record. So they had me writing with people. They had me going on the road with different people. That was it, okay? Enter house music, enter Billy Press, okay? Billy Press made me a resident, put my band in there because he liked the fact that it was only 3 or 4 of us, and we used to sound like a 7-8 piece band. You know, synthesizers take from my band Rico Tyler, who was part of the Diva fan. He had his
Productions, Rico, part of Smack.
Right. We went to college together. Him and I was
Rico, one of the most talented keyboard players I know in the game.
That's a story within itself because
I know. I've been saying that.
He was a year ahead of me in Berkeley, and him and I would become so close during the Berkeley years that I came here to Jersey first and went to the New York area, and then when he came down, he came into my band, and we just went crazy because it was just 4 of us. It was my friend Cochise, who's now Baba, was on the bass, who also went to Berkeley, Glenn Branch on the drums, myself on the keys, and Rico. We were 4-piece band, and we sound like an 8-piece band, and we were doing it all. We were doing jazz, we were doing funk. So Billy Press made us the pit band for Club 88 every week, and we were there, and that's where I really honed my talents, and that's where he hooked me up with Marshall Jefferson. And that relationship would change my whole career, my whole destiny. And it was even to this day, I talk to Marshall every day. That's how close we are. He would become like not just a musical mentor, but a brother. And it was a crazy relationship because it started off with a fight. We would fight throughout the years, but not like fight. We just had this relationship because Marshall, as you was talking about, Marshall is so big he should have a Bentley. Marshall is a very simple brother. He's a very simple dude that is a genius, okay, period. But it's hard to recognize his geniuses because he's just, you know, when I think of people like Al Jarreau, who was just a phenomenal, phenomenal singer, phenomenal. The things that he did, it's like Marshall. Marshall had such a background, but he was simple with this house thing. You know, he actually played like this, like he couldn't play. You know, he always hit records and he couldn't play. And here I am, classically trained. So let me. I know that he probably tell you the story, but let me tell you from my point of view.
Tell me your perspective. Go ahead.
My perspective was Billy was very close with Marshall, had him performing everywhere from Zanzibar, was booking him around. And Marshall had this song called Someday. He had already written it. And Marshall, Billy says, why don't you let CeCe, why don't you hook CeCe up and you guys come together. So Billy knew that I was this musician airhead, out of Berkeley, straight up into, my influences, Ramsey Lewis, Bob James, Rachmaninoff, Chopin. I'm just into the musicianship, Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire, music. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't that I didn't think house music wasn't music. It's just that, Lenny, my word was, it was simple. It was simple. It was, I wouldn't call it cheesy. It was a little bit out of the disco area and it was poppy and it just,
Come on, man. Come on. Call it what it was. I ain't doing that gay shit. I ain't doing it. Are you crazy? That shit's tired. How many times I heard that? You know how many times I heard that from all the fellas? Not you necessarily, but I heard that how many times? I ain't doing that shit. I ain't doing that music. I said
exactly. Because I didn't think that house music would do what it did. I like I said, we're all. I am so blessed, and I'm going to tell you why. Because to be 58 years old and to still be touring and to be traveling and to have a consistent career is incredible. Because
unheard of
people who started out with me, who have bigger records, who are much known in the Black community, had #1 hits, that's been on Billboard, and they have other jobs now. It's a lesson, but I can't say that I planned that because I didn't. So when Billy orchestrated this union between Marshall Jefferson and I, it was going to be a one-off deal. I didn't think that I was, I like everybody. So I flew out to Chicago. I never forget, Marshall called me up. We got on the phone. He was very, Southern type of, even though he's from Chicago, he had this, so he just laid back.
Imitate him for everybody, because people don't know how he talk, but imitate him. Go ahead.
Hey, man, how you doing? CeCe, nice to meet you, man.
Just like him.
You coming out to Chicago? I'm looking forward to meeting you. And, he was a very, very nice guy. I got this record, and, he was like. So I went out there. As I'm going to do this song, it's going to be, I didn't even want to do the song. I heard it was okay. What I did like is that the lyrical content was deep even then, because it was just what I've always talked about. It was about equality, unity. There was no questioning about the lyrics. Someday we'll all be free. It was like, damn, this dude wrote some serious lyrics. But the track itself was like, dun, 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 dun. I was like,
listen, everybody's going to play for you. Listen.
Chords. It was just so simple. It was just so simple where I would have had to be like, I would have had it all kind of, I would have messed it up. It just wouldn't have, now the CeCe that has kind of like matured, I would have messed it up. Anyway, Marshall, it was just simple. So we went out there to Chicago, and Marshall has his own version, and it's pretty much similar, but I remember that they had this big baby grand, I think it was Streeterville Studios, something. They had a baby grand, acoustic baby grand in the middle of the floor. And I remember Billy telling me distinctively, CeCe, when you go out there, the guy is a producer, he's not a piano player. Don't go out there showing off, playing your piano and do that. I went out there, man. I sat down on the piano and I played Chopin, Polonaise in A flat. And the girls that came out, you know, there was women in the studio. They also kept beautiful women around there. It was like, oh my God, I was playing classical. Joe Smooth and them was in another room, and it was just Marshall came by like, oh, okay. I want to play. All right. Went into the studio. And it was cold. It was freezing, Lenny, you know, Chicago in the wintertime. So I was warming up. I had just got the tech people when they got the tea, and I'm warming up.
What is that warm up process for you when you as a
Well,
vocalist?
you know, I like most singers, I had the opportunity to work with Aretha Franklin, and, you know, just the scales. La 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 la, do re mi fa sol la ti la do, and stuff like that. But I didn't even get a chance to do that. I was just clearing. The track was on. So, and I was just doing stuff like that while the track was on, because when I came in, I think the guy, I forgot his name is Steve Fisk. I don't know. He's already, the track was being played. So I said, no problem, just play it. And I'm going to warm up to it. I'm warming up to it, and I'm singing the track. And I happened, because at first my eyes were closed. I had studied the words on the plane going over. So I kind of knew the song. I wanted to be prepared. And when I happened to look up over the booth, I saw Marshall like this, you know, hands up like this, you know, and there was some girls behind, big breast girls. And they were like,
big breastises?
Big breastises. And they were doing this, and I'm just warming up. So I'm like, wow, they're impressed. Okay, all right, cool. So Marshall was like, after this, he's like, okay. He said, that's a wrap. What? He said, that's a wrap, man. He says, man, you're phenomenal. He said, CeCe is the best he said it right then. He says, the best vocal in house ever. Huh? I said, man, I just warmed up. I'm ready to sing the track now. And Marshall says, no, we're good. You go back to the hotel. We're good, man. You want to get something to eat? You want to hang out? We're done. And I looked at him like, I just flew all the way out here to Chicago. Are you crazy? I'm not, you know. So that was our first argument. I said, man, I got to do this.
Argued after that? You were arguing?
We didn't really argue. It was just like, I came all the way out here, man. I need to lay these vocals down. I'm not, this is nothing. This is nothing. And so Marshall's like, okay. And I said, go ahead. He told the engineer, let him do what he want. And Marshall got up and went to McDonald's. That's Marshall. Marshall got up and went to McDonald's. I'm sitting there. I sung the song. I layered it the way I want. I took all the flat notes out, and, you know, because, you know, when you're singing, you know, live and performing stuff like that, I want to make it perfect, because this is going to be on the radio. This is going to be a record. This is going to be a record. You don't want to get all them notepad stuff on there. Marshall was like, sent it to, make a long story short, they sent it to Atlantic. They went crazy. They wanted to put it out. I heard the final version. I was crying, because I was like, no, man, you don't hear all that. You know, I'm not hitting the notes right. Someday. No, it's not. I'm sliding in. I want to someday. I want to hit it like right. It's like, because we didn't have any Melodyne or auto tunes. We had to do it right then and there. Record company flew me back out there to do it again. We did it again. Went back to Atlantic, Merlin Bob and Sylvia Rome. They wanted the very first take.
Demo take. Basically the demo vocal. You want a vocal.
Demo take. And to that day, I never understood. Well, I understand now with music, because you got to understand that for musicians, we can learn the technical and the clean stuff. It always comes from the soul and how you feel. It has to be emotional use. Some of your singers, there are singers that always sing flat. You know, you can't, sometimes you go to Juilliard, you go to Berkeley, and you can be brainwashed, or you can be too technical, and it's too polished. And I was kind of polished a lot, to the point where all my years of being with Marshall, working with him, and I became his, our relationship would become so deep. I would be his keyboard man. I would travel with him. We you know, I would do a lot of projects with Marshall. It was all about how it felt. It was never about how clean it was, or that's what house music is all about, isn't it?
Back in the day, it was all about the rawness.
It was always about
That's what gave that emotion. The street element is what made house music stand out.
absolutely, and that
Comparison, you mentioned Peebo Bryson and all those names. Those are polished songwriters and singers that are so well. They don't play. As soon as they open their mouth, it's like perfect pitch. Everything's right.
absolutely,
Not
absolutely,
this record. This record
absolutely.
went against all the grains of what you were taught. Everything.
And 30 years later, I'm being asked to perform that song no matter what. It's amazing. I didn't know that. I didn't see that. And so, my relationship with Marshall was to this day, it's a forever uh uh learning process. In fact, me and Marshall used to have arguments in studios because we would be working in studios and people say Marshall is not going to work in the studio. Now he probably will, but back in the day, we work in the studio an hour, 2 hours, and he wants to go to the movie. There was no all day in the studio thing. Marshall's like, if it didn't feel right, let's go to the movie, man. Let's get up and go to the Marshall's like, if it's there, it's there, and it was a lesson for me. In fact, he used to tell me, he said, CeCe, Berkeley messed you up. He used to always say that. He said, Berkeley messed you up. All that theory. And it turned out to be right. It turned out to be true.
It's
At
crazy.
least in my,
It's crazy, right? Because
my opinion.
listen, you could have been a PhD of a doctor of music there, and at the end of the day, what does that mean when it doesn't feel right at the end?
It always comes down to your
There's
feeling.
someone who tells me he bought this keyboard that's got a thing on it that lets him put chords together. That's what was crazy for me, because I'm classically trained too, and I was like, "What? What are you talking about? The thing has chords to be put." He said, "Man, I just played this thing," and I said, "Well, did you have any musical training?" No. And
Marshall would slow down. Marshall would take a 120 beat. He'd slow it down to 60 or 50 and play what he needed to play. Literally. I saw Marshall. I had an apartment in East Orange, and we had this Yamaha FZ. I forgot what it was, because it was like in the beginning of MIDI. It was in the beginning of MIDI, 84, 85, when he came out with Move Your Body. He would come over my house with this little box of a sequencer, and he would slow stuff up and play. And I'm like, man, I could play this for you, stuff like that. But most of his records, it's a genius, man. The dude is a genius, period.
I wish he was here to tell us. He'd be like, yo, man, stop. He'd be like, yo, man, stop this, man. Come on, man. I know how he is. He'd be like, come on, dude.
Man, I love that brother. Love that brother.
Because I asked him the same question. Well, he was, we all know later on we found out, he was working, he had a full-time job at the post office. And some of the friends he was working with turned out to be Curtis, the singer. This guy was on this record. They all worked together in the Chicago post office together.
Yeah. It was funny because all my life growing up, I started playing piano when I was 5 years old. That I would get introduced to music that would strip me from everything I learned and go back to the basics. But like I said, Lenny, if it wasn't for house music, I don't even know if I would still have a career in music other than being a teacher, which I have taught. I would have taught it, but I would not have experienced it on this level.
Well, that's why it's called on-the-job training.
Yeah,
there ain't no other way to put it except just like that, because there ain't no 2 days alike in this job.
Exactly.
So Chicago, you go to this beautiful studio, you get blessed to warm up, you do the song, you think this thing is crap. You're like, let me sing it for real. When did you hear it out and you were blown? And what was the first spot you heard it?
Well, I actually heard it. My manager let me hear it 2 weeks later. He said, they're going crazy for it. Merlin Bob wants to sign it as is. And I was complaining from that day on, no. And, Marshall was like, so I've heard it. But what happened was that within a month later, Tony Humphries played it on his, I think he was with BLS at the time, or Kiss. I don't know when he played it on his, what they call, Lenny, what did they call it in the midnight? The
Master Mix. Master
Master,
Mix Dance Party. I'm sorry, yeah.
it's Master Mix.
Just so you
And
know, Marshall's over here cursing us both out on the.
really,
I can hear him yelling
I'm
at
not looking
us.
at it.
He's like, "You fools! What's going on? I'm talking blah blah blah." I know you're here, Marshall. But we're also paying you nooch right now because we're letting somebody else tell their story. You
I just
had
got a
2
message.
hours to tell your story, Marshall.
I'm gonna beat your ass like a drum. Marshall, you could never beat me, okay? Even now.
In fact, if that ever does happen, I want to be the Don King that put that pay-per-view special together. Marshall Jefferson and CeCe Rogers together. Beat
We
each other
almost
again.
we almost went to blows, but it was not because we always argued about musical. He really had to teach me, and he did. I consider that I learned from him because, you know, before there was Drake, before there was before rap and before these auto tunes and all this stuff, Marshall was telling me it's about the feel. So he was preparing me for this type of music that was on its way. Like I said, I was coming out of the Peebo Bryson, label mates. There was Chucky Booker, there was Glenn Jones, there was these singers that was just polished. And I'm like, Luther, there was all of these. So Marshall was teaching me, and so
James Ingram.
Jesus, these guys were like,
These are gods. These were
that
R&B gods.
that whole Quincy Jones type of production, was where I was, where I, I was just a fan of. And Marshall was like, nah, man, he was just very, and so it was a teaching process. But we almost had a fight, but it was not because of music. It was because it was because of a girl.
I knew that.
Well, not like you think. Even though we had the same taste in woman, we never.
Okay, so before we get to that,
we never fought over a girl in the sense of, we were brothers. If he had a girl, that was his girl. No. We never.
All right.
Well, that's another story. Anyway.
So Byron
I said
Stingley,
something bad about one of his girls.
Okay, so Byron Stingley is the hangout partner of Marshall.
Right.
And then Byron next month gets married, and here comes CeCe and Marshall. Hide your women. Here they come. Because I do remember that. Hide your women. Here comes these two players. Hide them quick. So take it from there. You hang tight with MJ now. It ain't Michael Jackson. This is Marshall Jefferson. And you as CeCe Rogers now running around as his wingman, club to club. Strength to strength. Go ahead. Tell us how that broke down.
Some things we are not going to talk about.
No, you don't have to go. You don't have to go. let's keep it G-rated. But let's just
put it this way, Lenny. We had fun. We had a lot of fun. It was music. It was women. We didn't do drugs, and that's what we didn't do drugs. We never got. We just saw so many of that. We were scared as hell about drugs. On that thing, we wanted, but the woman was. Let me tell you something. We lost a lot of money, and shit. The money that we lost, we might as well have been doing drugs because women are just as expensive. Marshall will get mad at me, man, but I remember Marshall doing 15 different flowers to different women around the world for Valentine's Day. I didn't tell you that, did he? I'm in trouble. I already know I shouldn't have said this. I know. It was years ago, Marshall.
It was generations. Listen, hold on, stop. Listen, it was a generation ago, but it was like that. How many different colors of
Daddy? And it was different. He was innovative. I mean, that was some, I mean, and these women were all over the world now. This wasn't like just Chicago. All over the world. Roses. I mean, and I'm talking about not cheap. Okay, I'm getting a message.
Shut it down. Shut him down. Shut it down. Shut him down.
I know I will be in trouble. I will be in trouble.
It's okay. This is a family show. We love things like this. This is what makes house music true house stories. True house stories. People love this shit. This is what they want to hear. They don't want to hear, oh, we cleaned the piano with Pledge. Who cares about that? We want to hear about how many different color roses did he pick out? You were there. You were the wingman. Come on now. You remember. Your memory is as good as my memory because we didn't do the drugs. So let's go there. How funny was it? How cool was it? Come on. Bring us back. There's another thing about that was going on too. We had HIV and AIDS going on at the same time. We were losing our brothers and sisters in the music industry. I remember that as clear as day during that era. Okay.
Yeah, we had it.
How is that handling? How are you handling that with making music, running around all the clubs, kind of like a celebrity, because you were starting to become a celebrity now?
Well, in our tour, we had different type of we had boxes of condoms. You know, we didn't just we started off with the ones carrying in your wallet and stuff, and then it became a big thing. The whoever was the tour manager, you make sure you have boxes, and we were very careful. I think the one thing that I do regret wasn't fun was that I didn't like most people, the money that we made and the money that we lost. In my case, I don't know about Marshall, I thought that it would not, we were on this level, we were making a lot of money, we was working with everybody, whether it was Aretha, Lauryn Hill, we were just working with everybody, remixes, just, I had been up under a lot of, people, I was doing David Morales' projects, we was just working, and it was good stuff, the money was great. And I thought it was going to always be. And because I didn't do drugs, because I didn't do the investing that I should have did back then. And I should have been putting the money, and I should know better, even though, because, Someday came out, I was 24. And
Marshall just broke in. Marshall wanted me to break in and tell you, we would compare condom brands for quality.
Yep. It's true. It's true.
At least he's trying to speak through he's working hard for you. You know what I'm saying? He's pushing that carrot. He's like, damn this boy. I gotta clear up. If he's gonna make sure to remind him what's going on. You heard that? You heard what I just said? He would make sure they would check for quality. They have conversations. Not about music. They want to make sure it's quality. We don't want that cheap shit. Send that back. That's not in our rider. So anyway, you're working with Morales and Aretha Franklin, all these great Lauryn Hill, all these great acts, and you're touching pop music world now too. You're doing house music is a fresh new genre, and guess what? You are part of the first to actually crack that door open to go pop.
Right.
Think about that. The first, there's always a first, and you were the first to have one of those records that crosses across, and it's no longer a house record now. It's now R&B dance record or R&B.
And Lenny, it was so, what was so funny is that when Someday came out, my grandmother died in 2000. God said, I remember, taking albums, running back to Cleveland. And I was showing albums because I had new cars, and my grandmother, my mother's mother, she was afraid. She thought I was selling drugs because she saw me coming, taking around and all this money, and oh my God, I hope you're not selling drugs. And they were never playing my music, nowhere in Cleveland or down south or nowhere. And where my brother and family members, nobody heard my music, and it was big in overseas. I got people meeting me at the airport, signing autographs. It was crazy, the success that was happening in Europe for dance music. And what has happened is that I tell people now, because all of the cats that came up when I came up, I won't mention their names, but they were big R&Bs, had Billboard top 10s and stuff like that. They're asking me, see, man, we need to work together and do a record together now. Because the one thing that I have to say, Lenny, about R&B music is that as much as I loved it, as much as I grew up with it, for Black Americans, there's a time period. How many, like you said, the spinners or classics or blue magic or, you know, it's not, there's a few like people like Earth, Wind and Fire or
Yeah,
people,
that
like
break
Beyonce
through and
that
stay around
that
forever.
that that will stay that way for 30 years. But house music, Barbara Tucker is still very relevant today as she was.
Amen. Give her up. Where is BT?
If a diva wanted to come out now with a record, she could be touring anywhere. A diva, she kind of like retired. But Sybil, the people that you never heard of, I mean, Blaze, if they want to come back, 10 City is getting ready to do a new album.
No, Byron's in the middle of it right now. They're writing it now.
Byron was in South Africa touring, and he's, we're old, so
You ain't old. You're weathered.
Lenny, look, Bon Jovi is old, and he's still touring.
Wait a minute. I'm God, you see Big Jagger's old, and they're going strong.
Look, so in house music, there's been that plateau. Like I said, I every time I get called, and I'm getting called only because of the pandemic, and all my tours, all my concerts are postponed. I'm working, and it's like, huh? I am working. So I find that a blessing. And that's because, yes, house music probably will never be as huge in America as soccer is to the world. Think about that. I always use that scenario. American football is what one of the biggest sports in America. You have American football in the UK, you have American football in Spain, but it can't top soccer. Soccer is becoming big here, but back in the day, soccer is in fact they call
They didn't
soccer
even know
football.
who the hell Pele was in this country.
Exactly. So, you look at it, I didn't know this. For me, I was depressed in the 90s. I was like, man, I'm not, here come Babyface and all these cats, and I'm like nowhere near them, or I did BET maybe twice. Nobody knows me, but I got them checks, and that's and the checks and the security. I was able to raise a family. I was able to do certain things, and then I have a fan base that still loves me to this day.
We'll talk about that today, because I remember you worked with Airplane Records, Mauro Ferrucci. You went and put yourself in many different arenas of the dance music.
Yeah.
You also went to more not really EDM, but let's just say the harder sound, and you started, expanding your genre a bit in this dance music scene. But we always go back to where it all begins for someone, and that first, break that leg moment it had to be Someday.
Yes.
Good, bad, or indifferent, with the fight and all. Who the hell knew about the fight? I didn't know about that. All I remember was hearing that record, getting that record at the time. I knew Carl Bias, and I knew about the record being done at that time in Chicago. But really, to know record becoming huge was, hearing at the garage and hearing Larry Levan play that record. I mean,
the last night that he played there, I was performing.
The last night, yeah, he played it. That
Guthrie, Lolita Holloway. I think Shaka was there that night, because I know I did a gig with Shaka, but you was there. You were there, Lenny. I remember you, like a little skinny kid. I remember you were there the last night at the garage, wasn't you? I remember you was in the booth. It was you, and it was me. Gwen
Victor Rosado was there. Victor Rosado. A lot of us were there.
Yes. And I was new. I was one of the new artists.
So was I. I was a young kid
too. We were young, and it was an amazing night. The last night. I'll never forget that.
Larry Levan, definitely. I mean, I remember hearing that record, and that record was played everywhere in New York. Every major club, white, black, whatever, Spanish, Indian, whatever club, you heard that Someday. Because it was, first of all, anything that was on a big record label got the attention more so than anything on an independent. Right away it's like, oh wow, Atlantic Records. This is boom, 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 boom. And then it was like, wow, you that vocal? Not too far after, we started hearing records like CeCe Peniston. They all had that same bass line. I was like,
Yeah.
You know where that came from. You know Marshall Jefferson on there. We know where that shit's coming from because everybody's biting on it, biting hard on the sound. You know, as we always talk about.
It was remade so many times. Oh my God. To this day, yeah. Yeah.
Never did you ever think that would ever take off like that, right?
No, no. And I never thought that, like I said, I never thought that I would work with Marshall 30 years later. I'm so excited because
What are you working on now? He didn't even mention. He's.
I
Do
just
you know
worked,
what I mean? How good his
I worked
memory
with,
is?
we were back together, man. I worked with him on the 10 City project. I sung with them on the Let's Get Busy, to just out now. It's myself, Marshall Jefferson, and these two Spanish cats. And like I said, even virtually, we're not Zooming, but we're just back and forth. I talk to Marshall every day.
What's some of the chords? Can you show us some of those chords he's playing now with his one? Is he still doing the one finger technique?
Oh, Marshall's evolved too. Now Marshall's evolved. I mean, we're very,
No
very.
more one finger technique. 30 years later.
No. He plays a little bit more now, but Marshall's he's a connoisseur. Like, I have all these headphones like Nighthawks, and he's more technical now than he was back, or maybe more technical, because you got to understand, he had a big you know, in order to be somebody that, like the father, they call him the Godfather of house music. This guy brought in rock. His big influence was like Led Zeppelin
and that's some shit.
Jimi Hendrix and stuff. Yeah, that's his, and he brought that type of, when he plays. So that kind of sound is what we do. But you was talking about chords. What chords you want to hear?
Well, let the kids hear. Let the people hear. What's this new song that you're talking about? What fundamentals? Break it down.
Well, a little bit of that 10 City. I can't let you hear that because it's gonna be got. But Love Is Just a Game. Yeah, I didn't remember that. Yeah, we do it. I should have got prepared. I can't think of the chords right now. But
all right, it's all right. It's okay. So then tell us the workflow. What's going on now? How's it? What's the pecking order? Are you coming up with musical stuff? Is he sending you tracks? How is this working out now? How are we doing it in present?
Kind of like what we did in the beginning. We still work from scratch. Marshall was never a dude that liked to do samples. He's not never been a sample type of dude. He's and when they tried to put him in the box of like sampling and doing loops and stuff like that, he was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that," And he went on to experiment and do other stuff, like going up to 130, 136, but he was never sampled. So when I used to think of big time jazz artists that I was influenced by, like keyboard players like Ramsey Lewis or Bob James, I have to put Marshall in that innovative spot, even though he's not like a keyboard player. As a producer, I gave him this song that we just did with 10 Cities called Love Is Just a Game. And I did the bass, I did the keys, I did the strings, and he came in there and he put some horn lines on there and did some melody stuff that just put it over the top. It has a, I put the melody down because I'm a big fan of Earth, Wind and Fire. And I've always had this love of Byron Stingley as Curtis Mayfield, Philip Bailey, Sylvester, he's one of the, he not just house, but just singers. The soul and the intensity of his falsetto is amazing. So I was excited to be able to, to work. It was overdue. In fact, I talked to Byron a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Byron, we should have did this many years ago. But we were both on Atlantic at the same time. We were on Atlantic, but we were so busy doing the 10 City project. I was so busy being CeCe Rogers, which was so different. But we had a chance to come back full circle, back under Marshall Jefferson's reign.
Under his reign,
it's
right?
Beautiful. Yes, under his wing, yeah.
Let's make everybody laugh for a minute. What's the worst gig you've ever had around the world?
The worst gig?
Ever.
Man, I was performing for an orgy in Switzerland and didn't know it. everybody came out. I was actually on the stage, and I'm performing, and the people came out. It was in the mountains up in them ski resorts in Switzerland, and I should have knew something was funny because all the people had the white, the white toga shit on, and I'm on stage and I'm performing, and the DJ's behind me, and they kind of figure I didn't know what was going on, until like 10 minutes into the song, people just start taking off their clothes. I'm actually performing, and people just start taking off clothes.
Did you start singing and you just stopped singing while you're singing?
Man. I'm singing.
You do a reenactment. So sing a little bit. So tell us what reenact. Like just.
What was I singing?
Come on, man. Make everybody laugh.
I don't know. I can't remember, man. I can't. Okay, so I was something like, sunny, yesterday my life was filled with rain. I was a little faster. Sunny, you smiled at me and really, oh shit, Easter baby. The dark days are done. Titties are going everywhere. It was amazing. Old people, oh man, it was disgusting. And I like sex, but don't get me wrong. That was, I wasn't prepared for that. And the people were laughing because I was like, and they was expecting me to go on performing. It was like really rich. I should have knew it was something funny, Lenny, because it was a lot of money.
You knew that this was gonna happen.
It was like triple the money. They put me in a private jet to come over there, and it was like so amazing. But that's the reason why. It was some crazy shit. Excuse my language, but it was crazy. Yeah, that was one of the worst performances I ever had. It should have been one of the best, right?
Nobody mentioned to you pre to this, listen, you're going to go out there, but it's going to get kind of funny. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. CeCe Rogers. Everybody comes out. CeCe comes out. Thank you very much. Music starts. And then people are dancing. You're doing Sunny. And everybody fucking stops dancing.
Well, I wasn't doing Sunny. I think I was doing, I don't know, No Love Lost, whatever my hit songs. All I know, I'm performing, and people, first of all, people was dressed normal. Everybody was just, it was like but as I'm doing the performance, it changed. People started coming in, and they had the toga outfits. You've heard this. It was like a scene from Caligula. Remember the movie Caligula? But with a band, I'm like with the band and the DJ behind me, and we're performing. I had my keyboard, and I'm like, I'll tell you what I was doing. I remember the song I was doing. I was doing Promised Land. Brothers, sisters, someday we'll all be free from fighting, violence, and people crying. And all of a sudden, people started taking off their clothes. Lenny, it was amazing. But it caught me off guard. Because it wasn't like, and when I'm saying people taking off their clothes, it wasn't like I'm around a whole bunch of models. These were like 50, 60-year-old men just going butt naked, and women
going like this. Lord, please shield me from this pain. I can't.
I can't do this. And I was like, no. I was like, oh, no. Mm-mm.
I mean, because I've been used to people taking their shirts off, getting comfortable. It happened to me. Look, I did the grill New Year's Eve. The whole crowd went naked. That's the grill. And they warned me. Are you okay with this? I said, well, you're paying me. I've seen worse. It's all right with me, as long as I know. You know what you come, but they didn't even warn you. No warning. Dude.
I should have known. I think that I was expected for me to already know, but I didn't. I didn't pick up. I didn't see any of the signs. It was like when I was on the plane, when I was coming down off the mountain, it came to me. This is it was a private resort. I should have known, but I was so naive.
Yeah, but you know what? You gave him the keyword. Everybody said when he says free. Brothers and sisters, when he says the word free in English, is the moment you start taking your clothes off. That is your code word. That is going to be the word of the night. Free.
That was a crazy show.
Give me your best gig ever. Ever.
the Hacienda. Hacienda. In fact,
Manchester.
I was with Marshall, Kim Mazel, and myself. We did a tour, one of my first tours in the UK. I had came to UK before to do a Helter Skelter because they was doing pirate radio, and that's when house music was being played. It wasn't being played on BBC, but it was being played on the pirate stations. Okay, that was my first time, and I was with Lolita Holloway, Jamanda. I think Marshall was out there, but then Marshall recruited me and Kim Mazel to go on tour. And I performed in the north, like Manchester, Nottingham, Liverpool, uh, and I immediately noticed the difference with the UK. And you know, you would think like when you say the North here in the United States, the North might be prudish. The North in the UK is the party people. You want to party? It ain't London, it ain't Wales, it ain't the South. I'm sorry, don't get me wrong. I love y'all down there, but you want to party? You want to party? You already know. It's the North. You got to go up
Well, they're
there.
very soulful and musically speaking too.
God. And I went to a place called the Hacienda in Manchester. And it was amazing because, you know, the whole black and white thing. Uh, I grew up in the 60s, and I've always dealt with racism. Maybe not on the same level of being beat up or police brutality in that sense, because I was just always one of these people that, okay, I'm black, and either I'm going to conform or I'm not. So when they call me nigga or whatever, I'm just going to deal with it and keep my mouth shut to live for the next day. Which is why I have a lot of love for the new generation of kids that fight, because I wasn't one of those fighters. Yes, I would put it in my music. And like I said, it was, you know, all my music from All Joint Hands, Someday, Can We Live, Brothers and Sisters, has always been about fighting for racial equality. And it's been my struggle. So I don't have to say, well, how do you feel about being a Black American or what's going on in a day and time? Just listen to the lyrics of my song. It's clear. It's defiant. And like I said, Someday wasn't doing anything here in the States. It was being played. Tony Humphries, Morales, you, Larry Levan, you guys were playing it, but you weren't mainstream radio DJs. You guys
Hell
were playing.
no, man. My crowd was all black.
The record
Puerto
player was
Rican.
playing at the Bible. Yeah, y'all was not. Y'all was, you know, it was playing. It was being played. And it was played in the gay clubs. It was being played in
That's
San
right.
Francisco. It was being played in Miami. But it was never. It was just not mainstream. So when I went over to UK, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in an underground thing. I went to this club called Manchester. And I never forget. I think it was about 350, 400 people. But when I tell you, Marshall, two of the bodyguards there, and the road manager with us, there was 4 black people in the whole club. 5 bodyguards.
Including yourself, Marshall.
5 black people. So it was 98% white people performing. When I started singing Someday, not only were they singing the words, and they knew every lyric of the song. When I went Someday, hold that note, there was no social media, there was no Facebook, there was nothing. But everybody had lighters. They clicked them lighters, turned it on, and they put it up in the air. And you can look out. And there was movement, but it was like, to me, it was almost if like I didn't hear anything. It was like I'm hitting that note and I'm looking out at all these white people. Like I said, my mentality, 24 years old, apartheid is going on. White people don't understand what I'm going through. You know, especially here in America, no, they're not. So UK, I'm expecting. What am I expecting? Let me just get this song. They're gonna hear the beat. They like the beat. No, Hacienda it was one of the first times in 1987, my brother. Okay, 1987. You know, remember apartheid. Mandela is still in jail. You know, so much going on. the Berlin Wall. Everything is going on. This racism still going on. And all these white people in the northern part of it put the light on and they click as I'm singing Someday all the way to the end. And they clapped when I was finished. It was more than just an applause. It wasn't like, what a great performance. It was, I felt for that moment that these people understood what I was talking about. And I remember, you know, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against it. I am not gay. But I remember running that, somebody grabbed me, I kissed him. I just grabbed him and kissed him. I'll never forget, he told me about that. He said, you kissed me. I was like, because it was so emotional. I couldn't believe the impact. That was one of my best performances, 1987. And I've, only 300 people. I have performed for thousands. I've performed for the Pope. I've done great performance, but that was one of the best performances ever.
And one of the most classic nightclubs in dance music history, Hacienda.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm so happy because the Hacienda, I just did something online with the Hacienda about 3-4 months ago. And just stay tuned. Everybody's waiting for this pandemic to pass over. But, you know, the Hacienda Orchestra, amazing musicians.
What song did you do for them?
Someday.
Oh, you did Someday. You did do. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna tell you something. I've never forgot when I first went to England. It was the first time where I saw in London mixed marriages being accepted. Because here, even though it was happening here, it was very on the underground. There, I was blown away to see black and white unity way better than we've ever had in the United States. We've always had this thing here.
It's amazing because we as Americans, if we just really learn our history, you know, and it's not until, Lenny, when you start traveling, you start realizing, why is it so much that you could tell the difference between an African and an African American? Well, when I went to Africa, and you know, they gave me love, but they told me I was mixed. They told me I was mixed. You're African American. You are mixed. You're not African. And at first I was kind of offended by that, because I did look at the beauty of their skin and everything. No, they're right.
What do they mean by that? Did you explain
I have the first time I started dealing with racism was in my own family. I had cousins that looked like you. They were so light. They passed away, even with the hair and everything. And they were able to live in certain, out of Springfield, out of Dayton, Ohio. It was one of the first cities that, one of the reasons why my grandfather had to leave New York to go to Ohio, because you know, they allowed mixed marriages in the 40s, you know, black and white people getting married there. But what happened was that, you know, I had cousins who lived better, you know, lived in better neighborhoods, and to compensate where they had families, they would say that I was help, or any of the dark skinned kids, we were help. We weren't really, you know. Then when I got famous, you know, that's my cousin. Or when it became popular,
yeah, right.
He's my cousin now. That's my first cousin. But you were white. You were white because you were good. You passed for white, so you're going to be white. Now it's okay to be black. It's amazing.
Let's clarify that, right? Let's clarify that. Well, out of Dayton and where you come from, some great bands like Slave. Another one of our friends, Norma Jean, comes out of Ohio from Chic.
Oh man, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Lakeside, Heat Wave, Ohio Players. You want to go on? Cool in the Gang, even though they found residence, they came out of Ohio. Cool. Robert Cool Bell is from Akron. Okay,
so Ohio people.
There's something about that water, about that funk. Yeah. That was that funk. That funk
Lake Erie. That Lake Erie's got some funky ass water up there.
That was some
Lake
funk.
Erie.
Yeah. A lot of musicians come out of Ohio.
Roger and Zapp means a lot of major players, more bouncing out.
And out of that small town of Dayton. Dayton was not that big of a city, man.
How big is Dayton? Tell people.
John Legend is from Springfield, so yeah. Dayton is, oh man, I forgot how many, but Dayton is much smaller than Cleveland, you know, much
Yeah,
smaller.
Cleveland was the main city. Dayton's like
Yeah.
the off city, right? So
Cleveland,
what
Columbus,
was the industry in Dayton? What was the
huh?
main industry in Dayton? Like Motown had GM, General Motors. What would have been in Dayton that would have brought people there to make, if you weren't, a musician, what factories were you working in those days? What were the jobs?
I really can't tell you. I don't remember so much. I lived in Dayton only for a small time, and I visited. I have family members there. Um, I think that it was maybe a suburb because it was I don't know how close it was to Cincinnati or Columbus. I can't really say. Uh, I don't know. That's a good question. I have to find out. It's in the history book somewhere, but I just know there was a lot of great musicians come out of there. I was in
Because
the
sometimes out of hardship.
Cleveland. It was Steel. We had the USS
Yeah, you
Steel.
had U.S. Steel there. Yeah, no, and then also the two Cleveland Browns.
Shut up. Shut up, Lenny. Don't start.
Basketball
Don't-
Browns. Browns, Browns.
We shouldn't say the Indians, okay?
I didn't say the Indians. I said the Browns. Cleveland Indians. Okay. But anyway, let's go on from there. A lot of great talent. Sometimes what happens out of hardship, and this is what we see, like Motown had all this Berry Gordy and the Dream, all this stuff, and here you guys are. You didn't have no Motown to go to. You just had a dream of doing music, and
Yeah.
taking it a step further. I mean, what makes a man like you go after going to Berkeley? What's the dream? What's that passion? What made
Music,
you do it?
music was always all around me. My mother is a singer, and my father, everybody, uh, in both sides of my parents, my granddad had a church, so I was always exposed uh, to music. So, and then in Cleveland, um, like you said, in hard times, everybody could sing. It's Cleveland and Detroit. We used to go to Detroit. Detroit was only an hour away from Cleveland, and on Sunday I would go up to play with the Winans or the Clark family. Maddie Moss Clark would come and do seminars. If you remember the Clark sisters, Karen Clark Shears and all of them, the mother, Maddie Moss Clark, who was an innovator of three-part harmony, she would have youth houses where people like me and my brother and my sister, all of us was exposed. We were always around music. The crackhead could sing. They would be doing harmonies outside. Doom, 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 doom. And they were serious about it. They were just as serious about their crack. They were serious about how they harmonies. They wasn't singing sloppy. So that's the culture, and you had to sing. It wasn't like I've been to churches in different other areas where go ahead, let the Lord use you and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that way in Cleveland. You couldn't sing, you wasn't in the choir. You couldn't sing, or they or you were told, honey, you could sit up here, but you better not open your mouth. You better lip sing. No, yeah.
Play your air volume. Do not.
Yes,
We do not
yes,
want to hear you singing.
yes, yes.
See, people don't get that. They think, here, but then here's a question that I should pose to you now. Do you think it's okay that everybody gets awarded for average work or not even fair work anymore? Like everybody's a winner? Or was it better the old way where we competed to be the best at our craft?
My personal opinion about that is that competition is always good. Uh, but constructive criticism is also good. There is you just can't beat a person to the point of depression. Uh, but in this day and time, I it's like bingo for me. I don't know. I strived to be the best at what I can do, and I realized that yes, it helped in a lot of ways, but it didn't actually guarantee success. You know, and success for me, you know, I think that if I success for me was to be able to make a living doing what I love to do, and that was it. and if that meant being a teacher, I was okay. I just knew that I loved music so much. I wanted to be the best singer, even though I knew that I was not the best singer, but I strived. And I never stopped striving, even to this day. I want to sing better than what I sing before, and that's a good thing. Okay, people take a competition in a whole different way, but I'm not a fan of telling people how great they are when they're not, or pushing. Yes, when kids are young, you have to protect them, but at a certain level, you have to, you know, you know. I remember the coach telling Shaquille O'Neal, man, if some people, you can't. Shaquille was horrible, and when he was at Jersey City in school, and who made these guys great? The coaches, you know. Yeah, Lenny, I don't. No,
No, because today it's like, yo, man, you came in 8th place. God bless you. You did great. I mean, yeah, it's nice, but let's
I,
be honest. What are
I
you
don't, I don't,
promoting?
I don't, like I said, it's a different, we learn, Lenny, it's also the same thing. There's so many diagnoses of medical stuff. Back in my time, if you was crazy, you was just crazy. That boy crazy. Now they got so many. He suffered from postmortem distress of this. There's so many different.
Bipolar. He's
Yeah,
Alzheimer's. He's
overall,
got
so there's
dementia.
so many. So we have to understand this science, that we are constantly evolving. So science can play a big part. I don't know. When it comes to my son, I'm very, there was a time when my son was very angry with me, but then he would turn around and come back and say, "Dad, you were right." I remember he's a great producer himself, and I remember when he was first getting into producing, when he was 16 and 17, he was a big Green Day fan, and he loves rock, and he's finding himself still, even to this day. He can sing, but he always never felt that he was a great singer. I know that he's a much better singer than he thinks he is now, but I can only push him so much. Now in his production, I remember telling him, "You can be better. This shit is sloppy." Lenny, when you do you're a producer yourself, and you've produced a lot of great songs, even when you've done documentaries. You put your best in it. Nobody has to tell you. You don't need your woman on the side going, "Oh, baby." You're gonna do the best automatically. But that's from the schooling that you came from. You old school. Uh, you hear what I'm saying? Do
Yeah,
it make
there's a thing called mediocre is okay now. Mediocrity. I don't believe in that.
no. The quality.
Quality always stands test of time. Quality will always stand. Good, bad, or indifferent. I agree. That's why I asked you, is it okay for us to promote 8th, 9th, and 10th
it's
grade, tenth place?
it's a question of, like I said, it could be either or. I can't say yay or nay, because I've grown into this point where, okay, I used to be an iPhone guy. Okay, iPhone to me was like the best phone on the planet at one time. But the truth of the matter was, it was never the best phone on the planet. There was HTC, there was Samsung, there were better phones. But if you marketed better, it was the same thing, Lenny, when we came along, and there was VHS and there was Beta. VHS won over Beta because what? It was easy to market, it was smaller, and it had a big marketing campaign. But the best tapes was Beta.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's be honest.
Betamax, baby. Betamax.
Betamax was the best tape, was the best videotape, the best quality. They were so close. Betamax was close to HD before there was HD, but it didn't.
Well,
It died down.
they always
So
said,
yeah, mediocre, whatever. Do we market it? Look at this. Look at this president. Is he the smartest of what America is? No, but he's the most powerful man on the planet. Is he really smart? Do he represent the greatest minds here in America? Your kid is smarter than Donald Trump. Let's just be real. But hey,
who are
I have
you
a
to
kid.
say anything?
Right. Because you don't know.
Ready? You ready? Because your brain ain't as big as 45s. Got the biggest brain ever. It's all right. He said it himself. He said it 1,000 times.
Smart. I have a lot of words. I went to what
I
school
went
did you
to I
go to?
went to
Your
Wharton Business
sentences are the
Studio.
same sentences over and over again.
I got a collective sound that sounds exactly the same. Listen, hey, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to tell
It
you
is what
straight.
it is. Oh man, Michelle had me in tears. Oh man,
Me
it is
too.
what it
Great
is. She
speech.
she had me in
Lord,
tears.
I love both of those Obamas. I bring them back in
Oh,
a heartbeat.
Michelle is
I love
Lord.
racial equality. First of all, I am a person that believes for us to be so evolved the way we are, what made America, and you said it earlier in the broadcast, you said what made America great was the different nationalities and ethnicities that came together and brought this common denominator, success. Everybody came with their piece of it. It wasn't, oh, because he's white, he's black, he's Spanish, he's Indian, he's Pakistani. It was, he was smart. We love what his ideas are, and we're going to, invest in it. That was what the thoughts were. Some of the greatest minds were the minorities.
One of the
Open.
reasons why I stay so close to the New York area is because how diverse it is. You know, people don't get me wrong. I've lived in Italy. I've stayed. I've spent months and months in Finland or Denmark or different places. There's nothing like America when it comes to diversity, especially in places like California or New York City, where you have so much. You know.
That's true.
I speak Italian, and when I go into Little Italy, whether it's Little Italy here in New Jersey or Little Italy in New York, I go in that community and I speak their language. They look at me and they welcome me. It's a this culture, this diversity. What makes America is why so many people want to come here. You know, opportunity, but the fact that we are so diverse. Yes, it was a nasty way of how we got this way. A Black American slavery built this country, made us go out ahead. You gotta know the history. If you don't know the history, you're going to debate. If you haven't traveled like you have, Lenny, like you've been around the world, you can't understand and appreciate what makes America so beautiful. But the truth of the matter is that
He's right.
with all the stuff that we've done, the wars that we won, we're in trouble right now. This might be this might be the change.
Is that what they were talking about
you
in the
should hear,
biblical
I'm
sense of
always
New Babylonia?
yeah, no, could be, bro, could be, but it's. I couldn't believe, like I said, the stuff that has went on these last 4 years, you wouldn't have. Yeah, even when he was elected, I cried because I was like, I can't believe this guy. Because you got to understand, I met this dude. I met this dude at Fashion Week. Me and David, we saw how we met this guy a couple of times, and it's funny because I can get in the Mar logo because of my status, but the people that support him, he wouldn't have them. VIP, are you? There is no guest list tonight. They would even get, they
Excuse me,
wouldn't even get, they
Charles.
wouldn't even,
Charles.
these people that are in the Midwest that love Trump, that would support him and vote. It's amazing because they couldn't even get into it. That's another story, man. I'm not even gonna get excited. But you understand what I'm saying.
I hear you. I hear you. People wanting to hear about the Michael Proctor story when he came around you too. Is like, what part of your life was that? Because we just lost him too recently.
Yeah.
Michael Proctor is no longer with us. Another big name, and how again, and another brother that was known in the R&B circuit that crossed into the dance game and
Yes.
so- and
Yes.
and saw the light of
Get
success.
well. Get well. I met him at the. We did a show together at the Southport Weekender, and we shared a ride on a plane back. Very amazing brother, good brother. Yeah, yeah.
You know, I had another friend of mine, Dwayne Holt, who played Studio 54, and he said to me, "Yo, man, Trump treated me so good when I played at his party. He gave me an extra tip." It's like 1984. He said, "He's not such a bad guy, and this is a black brother, Dwayne. I love Dwayne." And I said, "Dwayne, but yeah, that's different when he's your boss and you're playing for him in a club and running a country. It's not the same." And look,
It's
everyone's gonna hate me. I know there's a lot of Trump supporters, and I've said I'm not here to bastardize Trump or to make him a saint. Things are what they are due to what we're dealing with. It is what it is.
Somebody had told me, and it was true. I remember being in in a part of Italy. And I was always saying, I love Italy. I really love Italy because I've always been treated. I feel like I could take that vest of racism off. And then I ran into an African who had grew up in Italy, in Tuscany, and we were speaking, and he says, "My brother, you will never see the racism that I saw of the Italians because you were famous when you came here." It's like, okay. He says, so be careful when you say what you say. Don't get me wrong, I still have my feelings because that's my feelings, but maybe because I'm also American and there's such a I've never dealt, don't get me wrong, I deal with racism anywhere. I'm not saying that all the Italians are not racist. Come on, or racist. No, I have Italians that I've grown to call my brother. I love the Italian culture. I love their culture for a lot more reasons than just the history of it and the way the people treat. And if I had to go live in Europe right now, I prefer to stay in Italy than I do in England. I would struggle with the language than I would go in the UK. And don't get me wrong, I love my people in the UK, but I can't get with that four different weathers in one day. I don't want to be, I got to have an umbrella, 4 different weathers a day, or that shepherd's pie. You're not gonna get, you ain't gonna switch me from the Italian cuisine. They try to now Croatia. That's some good food. That's some good meat. But I love Italian.
All right, now you heard it, like his sponsorship, Croatia, my new home.
No. I lost my mind there because I went to Kuwait. I wish I could do an Anthony Bourdain. That's one of my weaknesses. I love to eat. I love good food.
I'm no stranger to a fork and knife either, brother.
I love good food. That's a big weakness of mine. I love good food. And I was in Croatia, and Marshall turned me onto it first. He said, Croatia, he said, man, that meat, man, I don't know. I had the best pizza. I said, man, you're crazy. The best pizza you're gonna ever find is in Napoli, period. Now their pizza was pretty good, but their meat, and the reason why their meat is better to me than the Italian cuisine is because the animals live a full life. They live a good life. They're not, you know what I'm saying? They're nurtured. They're fed. It's how they, do their meat.
It's unlike here. Everything is mass produced. The Monsanto companies got their
ammonium, sodium. Yeah,
you wonder why everybody's friggin' dying around us from diabetes and everything, that all the undercurrents. And over there, they're living a longer, much more zestier life than we ever could live here.
Yes. Well, I don't know. It's changing because when McDonald's went to when McDonald's went to Italy,
changed everything. I know that. I remember that.
The Italians started getting heavy.
Yeah, you notice that happened? It's like, oh, what happened?
Man, when I used to go to Italy, if I didn't bring the right kind of clothes, because I was always a big man, I couldn't. I remember doing a gig with Grace Jones and Andre Bocelli in Bologna one time. And I went on a flight and my luggage was late. And we had to go, we was in Bologna, and if you know where Bologna and Milan is, it's like 3 hours far. We had to go all the way to Milan to find a big man shop just to find me a suit, because, and the suit was still tight, man. I was a 52. I am still a 52 in the chest. And they almost had to make me they couldn't make it because my show was that night. So we had to go all the way to Milan and find. That's how clothes was. Now I can go anywhere and find clothes in Italy.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, because and that's because of McDonald's. McDonald's, man, and you know what's terrible? McDonald's followed me to Italy, and then the next thing you know, how in the hell you got a Pizza Hut in Italy?
That's what I want to know. In Italy.
That really don't make any sense to me. I'm still freaking out. Domino's Pizza in Italy.
To me, is the worst.
It's the worst here. Oh, I'm not into.
No, it's all right. No. You know, it's true because a lot of us say the same thing. It's like it's like going to Mexico and having Taco Bell.
Oh,
Like, how the
oh,
hell does that work out? Come
oh.
on now.
How do you have Domino pizza? When you know, my manager is Italian, and I was like, what? We rolled by, and I said, that's a Domino's? He said, see. I was like, what? What's going
Why?
on?
You kept saying, why?
God, so I was like, ugh, terrible.
Boo-ha. Boo-ha.
Terrible. Yeah.
You know,
You're
history
Italian,
has
Lenny, right?
Italian and Spanish.
Tu capito italiano?
I mean,
Un poco.
parlato italiano. See,
Okay.
see I learned more on the road than I did at home.
See?
I tell this to everybody. You know, no school could ever taught me what I saw. To
Exactly.
assimilate with people on the ground around you.
Exactly.
Assimilation is a word you learn as you are in, and when I say ground, when you're running from flight to flight, from having dinner with people, hotels, you're in their neighborhood, you're talking their language.
Mhm.
You know, and I understand what that African brother told you. He was right. You've already coming in a little bit more special.
Right.
You know, there's a light shining on you, and of course, same with me. If we would have came in, nobody would have known us. They'd be like, "Get out of here," you know what I'm saying? But they knew that we were coming with special gifts of
And
what
that's
we
the
do.
same thing that I'm glad that a lot of my white brothers and sisters here in America are starting to understand. And that's why they're becoming part of this Black Lives Matter thing. A lot of them are starting to get it. Okay. When you said, oh, wait a minute, what you mean Black Lives Matter? All lives matter. What? Whoa. We're not saying that your life does not matter. But look at the statistics of how Black people are being killed. Oh, well, you know, you're treated a little different than we are. Trust me. I had this conversation. I remember when I was 24, 25, when Someday first came out and I went and got my first Mercedes. Oh my God, it was horrible, bro. I got stopped on I-95 so many times. And I remember telling a guy, I was pulled over and I was always asked to get out the car. And I was explaining this
First of all, wait a minute. What kind of
just,
Mercedes was it?
why you just don't tell them no? Why you just tell them no, you're not getting out the car? What's the problem, officer? I says, I didn't have that luxury. I was
Wait,
told to get out the car.
wait.
I wasn't told, can we check your trunk? They did it. You understand, Lenny?
No,
I
hold
know
on.
that feeling.
But explain to everybody the kind of Mercedes Benz you had, because I can guarantee you it was a woman's good looking car. Tell us the Merc you were driving. Come on now, because I know exactly what was going through the minds of when they were pulling you over.
Well, I still got it. I got to get rid of it. It's old as hell, but I
Okay,
still.
it's a relic now, but at the time when you got it, what was it?
SL 500, SL 500
You hear
hardtop.
that, children? An SL 500, state of the art at the time. A
Yeah.
car that was making as much as a police officer made in the year or
Right.
two. He
Right.
had a car that was, so of course, he goes, you know, a white officer making at the time
There you go, Lenny.
$23,000. And in those days, that car was 65, 70,000.
100,000.
Sorry, excuse me, I'm saying in pounds. 65,000 pounds, about 100,000 USD. Okay. Of course, they see a nice man, a gentleman like him. We all know him as Saint CeCe Rogers because of his musical, you know, background. They don't see that. They see a black man with dreads. He's driving a car, and the first thing they're thinking about is the drug dealer.
Yep, absolutely.
He's getting profiled right off the bat. There's no way this man can afford this car. No way he can afford it.
And you know what? To a point, I understood that because I put my hands on. I taught my sons this. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Put the windows down. If it's dark, turn the lights on. Understand? But sometimes that's not the reason why they pulled you over. And you can be so polite. And there are good cops out there, Lenny. There are, and I think there are more good cops than not. But every once in a while, you're going to get an asshole that
It happened to me.
Like his
I
job,
remember
doesn't
an
like his job,
asshole every so often.
and is bitter, just like in anything. And you gotta understand. And these are the people that will kill you, and they have the power to kill you, and then they kind of know they'll get away with it. So this is the kind of thing that we're trying to. That's why this movement is so bigger, and I'm happy to hear this. Okay, but I understand there's going to be people that they don't want to understand. All lives matter. No, all lives. Please understand what we're going through. Understand this struggle. It's called empathy. That's what Michelle was talking about yesterday. Empathy. Do we have empathy? I have empathy. You have empathy. We gonna get through this, but we got to learn to love one another. That's what my music has always been about. Loving one another. Simple.
It's profound, brother. And we're in some rocky times, man.
Yeah, man. All over the world. All over the world.
How do you feel about the prospects of Mr. I call him Grandpa Joe. Grandpa Joe Biden. How do you feel about this prospects of him even having a shot to win? Does you believe in your heart, your gut, that he's going to win? He has a chance, or you think this is not going to happen this year?
I believe that he's going to win. I believe that he's going to
Why?
win. Only because I believe in America. I believe in the good of America, and I believe that it's so outright noticeable. You're going to always, Lenny, you're going to always have, and I don't call them ignorant people because you got very smart people that is against the establishment. They're going to always be people that are about racism and about status quo, about putting people down. No matter I worked hard for what I want, and you got to work hard, and I feel that they feel that everybody, not just black, everybody that looks for hands out, that is a whole people. I've always worked very hard, but the color of my skin is always sometimes judged who I am, the character, and that's what we want to get away from. However, there's going to always be people that's going to always judge you for the color of your skin until they evolve. I believe that at one time, I can go deeper, Lenny. I feel that there are aliens that would love to meet us, or that is watching us, and they're just waiting for us to evolve. We need to evolve. We need
So
to
you
evolve.
actually do believe that we do have artificial, or I should say artificial intelligence, I should say life forms in different galaxy, not necessarily
Yeah,
in this galaxy.
absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that. I believe that and I believe that they are a little bit more intelligent, a lot more intelligent than we are. And this is why they stay away from us, because they're waiting to see if we're going to destroy ourselves, which most likely we might, or we're going to evolve. And one of the things about us evolving is the fact of we're all created equal. That is so simple. We're all or wait a minute, they know that they're not going to come and become part of our society because they know that we're going to hate them. That's probably the only reason why no, not black and white, human people come together at all. We hate each other so bad, for privilege, for whatever. We're all the same. Are there good and bad in everyone? And it's so simple. It's simple, but it's easy to say, yeah, that's true, but stereotype. You and I, Lenny, we stereotype. But do we stereotype in such a negative way? Because I damn sure was stereotyped that white
I just
woman.
heard that Ohio accent come out. Show.
I damn sure got stereotyped when that white woman sold me that fucking TV. I didn't have no fucking clue. Excuse my language. Why am I cussing so much? I had no clue that this woman was gonna sell me a TV with rocks in it. But a black guy couldn't have done it because I was fresh out of Cleveland and Berkeley, and I would have knew it was a thing. But a white woman with a baby standing in Penn Station, it was a setup. It was stereotyped. She was waiting on me. She took that $300. She was a con artist.
Couldn't wait to get out of there.
It was a con artist. The same lady that conveniently in Central Park conveniently called and said a black African American. Was she really racist? No, she's privileged. I don't think it was, and I'm glad that the black guy, the bird watcher, whoever he was, said, let's leave it alone. She was in the heat of a moment. We do that. It's human nature. I don't think the woman should have lost her job. No, but let's just call it for what it really is. It's a form of racism. It's a form of privilege. And once we get over that, and we are, I believe we're going to get over that, we're going to move on to other problems.
Yeah.
But they won't be as, we've evolved. We've come a long way in 100 years. We put men on the moon. We're going to Mars. We're going to crack codes, DNA. I suffer from I recently last year was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So now I'm taking medicine. I'm able to play for you today that 6 months ago I couldn't even play.
Really? I didn't know about this.
Yeah, well, I didn't understand the thing. Oh, dag, this phone. Yeah, yes, yeah. So what happened was what happened was that I remember people in my family. I think my grandmother had it. She had rheumatoid arthritis, and it was so bad years ago, 20, 30 years ago. Her hands, they curl up. A musician's got it. It was in. I'm playing again. So technology, you look at these commercials, man. All these, we're growing. We're it's part of the evolution. Yeah, but sometimes we're so ignorant. Look at this. The vaccine. People are not gonna take the vaccine. Look at the people that don't think that a mask work. The Americans. Lenny, privilege sometimes hurts. You and I, we have internet, we got Facebook. Do we really have to think this is such a conspiracy when the world is showing us different countries? Everybody's a liar, I guess. South Korea really didn't control it. New Zealand really didn't control it because it's conspiracy. Italy, which I was so upset. You asked me about the COVID. I was depressed because I had to get out of Italy before the lockdown. I had to get out of Italy the day before. I was working with a young artist that's on that was on The Voice, and I'm producing her. And I was in Milan, and I was producing her, and I had one last day, and the airline said we are closing down. Italy was really bad. Italy went on lockdown. Italy locked down. People could not come out the house. I was sending texts back. Everybody, this COVID real serious. There was only 2 or 3 cases here in the United States that we knew of, or in New York. I had to get back, quarantine myself, and get ready for what was happening. It should not be 170,000 people dead. Should not be. Not America. Don't blame it on Trump. Look at all
common sense, just common sense.
Common sense. I don't want to wear a mask because of my freedom. Well, shit, you got to wear a damn seatbelt. I hate the fact I love riding a bike. My wife won't let me ride a bike, but I'm able to ride a bike at certain countries I go to. But here I can't ride a bike. That's just the rule. I'll be in divorce court, right? But here you got to wear a bike. You got to wear a helmet. I hate the fact that I had to wear a helmet until that one time I fell on my bike and I hit my head with that helmet. Had I not had that helmet on 280, I wouldn't be here to talk about it. A mask, Lenny? Are you serious? A mask?
No, it's my right not to wear that mask, they say.
It's not.
It's stupid. It's so stupid. First of all, I'm going to break it down real simple. If you were having surgery, would you want the doctor to have no mask on, no goggles? Thank you. So why the hell does it not work on a normal day-to-day right now? Period.
And this is temporary, maybe a year.
I guess Michael Jackson was right. We're
going to get over this. We're going to get over this. But all these people have to die because of it's incredible. So I just let people talk, man. I just watch it. But it's so when you ask me these opinions and stuff like that, I don't know, bro. I really don't. I just only speak of me and mine, and just pray for those and hope.
CeCe, listen to me. Everybody asks this question to famous people. To my world, you are famous, brother. You famous beyond to me. That's the old CeCe, which is today, speaking to the younger CeCe of 35 years ago. What would you tell him? What kind of advice would you give that man coming up?
That's a deep, deep question. Um, what I would tell the young CC, um, control your anger. Um, deal with that anger management. You know, um, stop being angry, um, and listen more. I was headstrong. I was a good listener, but I was cocky. I think the cockiness got me certain places, but you know, be more open minded. I think that I could have done more if I was more open minded and not close minded. Um, and I was just open minded enough to become friends with Marshall Jefferson, which would change my life forever. Who was, like I said, Marshall probably would have liked me if we hadn't met anywhere else. You know, it was the music that brought us together, and you know,
And thank God for that music, because I tell you, I had said that many times I would never have been to the places I've been. I never would have had the friends I would have today.
exactly.
I never would have had the money nor the success nor all the things that we were all blessed because of the music.
Yes, house music as well. I guess from
Dance, house, music.
yeah. People come around, and I do love. Lenny, I bet you enjoy this because you live in New York. You kind of enjoy that dual celebrity thing. You can go out and go to the
Nobody knows who the hell
supermarket,
you are.
and nobody bothers you and stuff like that. But then when you go overseas, it's a different, you know, you get to put the, you know, it's Lenny Fontana, blah 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 blah. So I kind of enjoy. I like that. So
Yeah, because you could step in light for a moment and step back out and be normal.
it does well for me because I do feel for those people. You know, there's an artist that fight for being famous. That's all they want. And if you tell them, no, that's not what you want love, you want acceptance. Uh, one of my greatest feats is my family. You know, I love my family, and I thank God for the way, you know, it might not have happened the way I wanted to, but you know, my kids, my wife, my family, I'm very blessed. How it materialized. It wouldn't materialize if I Lenny, you too, if you said, okay, I'm gonna marry this kind of girl, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, probably wouldn't have worked out well for you. Probably wouldn't have worked out well for you. You know, finding the right woman that can deal in this kind of business, she has to find you. You really don't find them. Think about it. Am I right or am I wrong, Lenny? Am I right? Just tell me you
I'm going
disagree.
to be honest with you. My wife is a disco girl. There's
Yeah.
no other way it could have worked out. I could not have done it with a regular type of woman. I shouldn't say regular, but I mean, very prude and not understanding how first of all, the traveling. The traveling would have been enough to drive anyone to a drink. And the jealousy would have been, I hear that from all our brothers and sisters, the jealousy. How do you deal with that? I never had that problem.
most 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 marriages, you know, the Hollywood thing is always because of jealousy, because of the privileges and stuff like that. There was some you know, the woman that I was first in love with, she was, oh my God. I'm gonna send you on WhatsApp this picture. You're gonna laugh about how jealous this business can be. And the thing is that you've had to work with a lot of, you know, let's be honest, it's the female artist that makes the money. So when you're in the studio, you have to work with these women. You have to work in this type of environment of these beautiful women coming in, and then there's two sides of the coin. Yeah, I've never had to deal with that as well. I've always had my wife wasn't a club girl. My wife is a nurse. um, and I tried to get her to. It's funny. I tried to get her to leave the nursing and work in my business, and she was like, I love what she's doing. So she pushed in and went to the top of her game to be a doctor in nursing. So she's at the top of the game in what she does, but she's always supported me in what I do. And you know, the good thing about it, Lenny, is that it's I think it's kind of good when you meet somebody and you're already established, as opposed of meeting somebody that was with you during the struggle. When my wife met me, I'd already had some day out, and I was in the struggle, and she just came in and rolled up her sleeves and worked with me. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is good because it's the appreciation factor of having,
Exactly.
getting and rising to the
Exactly.
top. I
Exactly.
keep hearing that song, rising to the top.
Keep rising to the top.
Give it all you got. Yeah, give it all you got. Give it all you got. You can hear
Well, let
those
me ask you
words.
this. Well, let me ask you this. Before I die or before I hit 60, well, that's not far. Before I hit, we're gonna do something together, Lenny.
I would be more than honored, brother CC.
It'll be an honor, man.
I would
Listen,
be more than honored. I have been a long time
got
fan.
it on tape. You recorded this conversation.
Everybody in the world, my assistant Karen heard it. She's probably, and believe me, she's gonna ring it later. Okay, so what you doing? What track you gonna get for CC? I can already hear her.
Send
I,
me some
I
stuff.
just wanna say it's been an incredible 2 hours. There is nothing that I could say that this Zoom thing is a blessing in disguise because it's given time for us to sit and really reminisce, teach, learn, prepare, help others grab our steam, or however you want to look at it,
Well,
our
I am
gift.
I am honored, Lenny, because I'm a fan of yours. I never, I think this is the most that we've ever talked. Like you said, we ran into each other a few
Hey,
times.
Cece, what's up, bro? You good? Yeah.
That was it. That was it. I would
What's
always
up?
run into,
God,
I was always in that circle at the Winter Music Conference or whatever. But I was always, like I said, when somebody told me, I was looking at, I happened to be in Italy when I saw that documentary coming. I said, it's Lenny Fontana. I was like, what, Lenny? Go ahead. And I always knew you was from New York, and Marshall always talked about you. So it was never. It's kind of like that distant friendship. So when you did call me, you should know a man by his fruit. So it was like, no, we're not like boys, but the respect of your work speaks for itself.
well,
And
that's
so
what I've always said. I don't want to ever have to be the one to say, look at what I do. Look what I always said. Just
your work.
Google me, yo, if you don't know
Now,
me.
now, I don't do a lot asking. I have turned down several. I'm doing one Friday with Marshall because Ultra is promoting a record. I hate doing interviews. Because I always look back and says, "Damn, I shouldn't." Because I get real. I
This
get
is what we want, though. True house story.
yeah. But you know what? You know what? I you know I don't want to, like I said, I have a thing that people have to evolve in their own way. They have to learn the way. I don't like to be this. I've taught for many years. I taught in the school system. And I'm so happy that the kids that I taught, many of them are teachers, lawyers, and they've gone on to do things, and they come back and say, Professor, it was in your classroom. I used to be bored sometimes when you used to talk. So I can run my mouth. But so I've gotten to a point at my age now, I don't want to do a lot. I just want to just do my music and lay back. If anybody need advice, I like to talk to my son. So if it wasn't Lenny Patana that called me up and says, listen, bro, I don't want to do an interview, it wouldn't have happened. And I'm just being real. I'm just
You
being
hear
honest.
that, people? I've called him out. He doesn't do this.
I
Let
know.
me tell you something. A lot of brothers and sisters that come on this thing don't do this. They feel like, look, one of them had asked Karen all kinds of, what's he going to ask me? It's like, it's just a discussion. It's a
I
discussion.
didn't think you see, I didn't say nothing to you. I already knew this was going to be fun. I knew. And I says, he's probably going to get me to say shit that I don't want to talk about. But
Because I know, because I was there.
Just be ready.
Marshall should have told you, yo, man, just be ready.
I know.
Look, I tell the story every time about MJ's record. I said, yo, man, your record is the reason why I got fired from the underground. He's like, man, what do you mean?
For
I
real?
played the house music anthem. Yeah, because the promoter at that time said to me, take that end shit off. The
Mm.
house music anthem. In those days, and I always talk about this, here I am, look at me. Look at me. In those days, I had a fine little mustache. I was in good shape. And I looked more Puerto Rican than Italian. In those days, I had a white crowd. I was playing for this because I was just happy to be DJing. Like you said, happy to be working. It wasn't, I didn't have no conditions. Oh, I want to play at a certain spot. I was like, yo, man, I'll play at a big club. Whoa. Oh, man. All right. Anyway, I played his record and it just got it on a black test pressing. I played it again. And I remember the phone ringing. I saw the phone ringing because he used to have a phone from the front door to the booth. And he'd be like, I saw it ringing. I could see the lights. I went, grabbed it. He's like, yo, man, I don't want that N shit, that NIGGA shit here. And I went, okay. I said, no problem, no problem. So I went back, played a few more records. As defiant as I am, I said, fuck that. crowd's going crazy. Again, 2 hours later, I played the motherfucker. Crowd scream.
That's the time.
And I swear to God, now I'm 25 feet over the booth. This little white dude comes running down the stairs like this. And I'm watching him go like this, trying to get through the crowd. He's pushing, and I'm like, he's coming. And I'm like getting ready. I'll never forget this. Comes running in the booth. I told you, take that nigga shit off. I told you to want. I went like this. Yeah? I pulled the needle up like that. Whole crowd goes.
Yeah.
Yo, what the fuck? You hear all kinds of shit. And I started just packing my shit. Just like that. I said, fuck you, motherfucker. And I'm like, you guys say that? Okay. I'll play this somewhere else. And that's the kind of shit. When you talk about Black music and what I experienced it in a different way. I'm like, you're going to tell me what to play? Well, now I'm done. I'm done. Amazing. And I understand when I can only understand a piece of it. I've been around it. I saw it. I experienced it. I grew up in the same area as you did, different part of town, but I still saw it. I still saw what was going on. So I can understand, you know, I don't want any more attacks in these neighborhoods. Like, that's the only thing that upsets me about this whole movement is that we've been watching the neighborhoods that the minority-owned businesses are getting killed. And I know it's not the Black Lives Matter movement, it's something else that's helping to create this problem. I know that because it's a peaceful movement, you know?
Yeah.
So we have to, you know, hope for the best and hope that change happens again, because we do need change.
Let me tell you something. It will start after November the 3rd. I believe now don't get me wrong. I'm guessing like everybody else, because like I said, I was shocked in 2016. I was literally shocked.
Well, when I saw the statistics come out and I saw all the brothers and sisters that did not come to vote because they didn't like the choices.
Right.
Look what happened.
Right. Not only did they come to vote, they just a lot of people didn't vote. There was a lot of things. A lot of people didn't vote because they just said she's going to win. They said she was going to win.
Oh yeah, she's done. She's in foot in it.
A lot of people were so shocked, like there's no way that this guy is going to be elected, because we America know better. And we really and don't get it wrong. This is why I'm sure that it might be a landslide. There's a lot of Republicans. This is not the Republican Party of Republicans I know. I'm an independent voter. Always been independent. And I see both sides of the fence on a lot of things. Okay. The Republicans that I know, that party has become a party of opportunists. The Republicans that are in there that are running stuff, they're not real Republicans. Or if they are, they're the money Republicans. They're not Kasich. I've always liked Kasich. Do I like a lot of his views? I've always liked McCain. Do I like his views? No. Some of it. Some stuff but I can understand it. Are they good people? They're good people. Are you a good person? Debate it's kind of like, me and Lenny could get together. Lenny don't like this certain type of sauce. I hate what's that green stuff that goes in my salsa. I hate it, but Lenny got to have it all the time.
Cilantro?
No. That not Goya. I forgot. Man, my mind is going on. You don't have me in here talking for 2 hours. But we don't have to agree on everything. What makes us? What makes us? If you and I was to work, and I hope we do, we work on a song. You might not like the bass line I throw up. I'm not going. If when I start saying it got to be this bass line, or you might say, okay, CeCe, you know, in 4 bars, could we just use the first 3 notes and then let me switch this number?
No, no, no,
No, if I'm no, then I'm not really, you know,
no. It's a give and take. I always say it's a push and pull.
yeah,
You have to give to get. You cannot be all one-sided. I've always felt that way.
right,
Sometimes you have an idea that'll take it over the top. Sometimes I can have something that can bring it down.
right.
It's a part of a push and pull factor. It can't be all one-sided.
Yeah.
And lately, I feel like this whole thing is just top heavy right now. Very top.
Guacamole. I hate guacamole. My wife just says, I hate
Everybody,
guacamole.
okay, do me a favor. Send CeCe Rogers to New Jersey. Guacamole. You hear me? Avocados. Send him a box of avocados, guacamole. He's gonna love you for it. Write your name on there. Ask him to send you a record. Send you an autographed picture when you get the guacamole. Next week we got another disco legend. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's gonna be on this next Wednesday. Look at he's even worried about that too. DC LaRue from Cathedral's Era from the mid 70s.
Oh, okay.
DC LaRue, he's another talented brother. You killed us tonight. You really killed us. People you killed us with education. We didn't know you were professional. He's a professor. He's educated. I mean, the man, you know, he's talking.
I'm gonna go. I didn't get to see all the comments, but I'm gonna go comment.
I want to say one thing to you that's most important. Most importantly is that you treat people as you want to be treated. And that's the most important part to this. I don't care what color you are. You must treat. If you want respect, you must give that respect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you think, you know, you're going to go running around town acting like buck wild and thinking you can get away with shit, well, sooner or later, your shit will come to an end. It always does.
That's
I don't
true.
care who you are. It always comes to an end. Your shit always comes tumbling down. Anything you want to promote before we let you go? Because you've been in the hot seat for a while.
Lenny, I just want to thank you for the opportunity of being on your show. I wish you much, much more success with this. And I mentioned to you something before when we were in the green room. Who was in the green room?
Yeah, we're on the sidelines having a drink. Go ahead.
You know, all of these different organizations, HBO, Netflix, everybody, they're ready to bring house music to the forefront because it's a phenomenon in the music industry as far as world, and it's come back in the way of David Guetta, and you know, here in America.
That was my last question. Most importantly, I'm gonna leave you with this one. Did you ever think in the cycle of life the music would come back to where we started?
Yeah, it always do. Yeah, I know that it always comes back around. Yes, I did. I thought you was going to say, how was it to work with David Guetta? I was going to say, please.
No, I don't want to know about it. All right, well, how was it to work with David Guetta?
David Guetta's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
David Guetta, Bob St. Clair, the French DJs, they're you know, they actually took, you know, but all of it, just everybody, you know, good musicians, good artistry, production is awesome. You know, do I understand David Guetta? No, it's not somebody I can understand but do I respect what he does in the game? Absolutely. The same with anybody that's doing it and doing it well. Okay. Now, on that note, what I was saying is that this story of house music has to be done well, and I'm thinking that you would, you know, you on this board of trustees or some people like that, because it's going to take a big community. Brother, you've been in the game since the 80s, middle of the 80s, and you would make sure that, because if they get somebody,
the story's told correctly.
You know you know the roots. You know, nobody's going to be able to sit here and tell you that it didn't come from Chicago. You know, you got people saying, it didn't come from Chicago, came from New York house, or Karen Williams. Listen, house music was bubbling. You know the roots. Marshall, who is truly, you know,
one thing
As I'm
has to be
concerned,
said.
he got the bad stick because people stole his music. You know the story. You
Oh,
know
I
the
know.
story.
We heard the story
We
from
don't
him. Yeah.
we
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have to go into it. I believe that I would put some money into it, that you would tell a story. People have come to me, CeCe, we want to do a documentary, we want you in it, and I kind of walked away from it. I'm not even down for this unsung thing or whatever, because I wanted to be done correctly. You know, I wanted to be done correctly.
So if I ask you to be part of this, would you accept my offer?
With you, yes, because
Okay.
you're gonna be
It's
fair.
legitimate because it's
You got
legit.
you got to get Marshall too. I can tell you right now, Marshall, Byron, everybody will come on if you're a part of it. But this is a whole nother. I hope this don't go on to another 5 years. I hope this thing doesn't come out and I'm dead. Okay, it should have been out years ago. Okay, but
Well,
everybody
that's what
and everybody
BBC
puts,
told
what
me.
happens
That's
is
what BBC
everybody put
told
their
me.
own. Everybody puts their own spectrum, but now the big guys are coming in. You got, like I said, you got Netflix, you got HBO. They're coming and they're putting this big money down on it. So, Lenny, we got to put, when they come to me now, I would like to be, and I've been saying this on our interview, I would like to be, you know, you got to get Lenny Fontana and his people. Well, here's his resume. Look what he did with the the BBC documentary.
British Broadcasting Corporation.
Larry Sanders Tribute. That was awesome, man. That was great.
Thank you. I
You
take
know,
pride. I take pride in that. That was a lot of work, but man, looking back at it, you could never take that away from me.
no, and it was quality. Again, the quality. You probably spent nights, hours,
Months,
hours,
months just editing
months.
the goddamn thing.
Yes. That's what we do, and that's why I say you have to have the right type of relationship. I spend hours up in this studio. You do my. I am here. This is where I live. Hours.
Notice that he's got a refrigerator to the left of him and an ashtray to the right. No, I'm joking. But just look, he's got a bed not far down over there. He's got look at everybody. Look. He's got Stevie screaming at him, "Get back to work!" And Prince telling him his inspiration. And he's got Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's got all the.
See Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yep.
Damn right, boy. That's from
Inspiration.
the Evil album. Evil. Oh man. When you said Chicago, ask Byron Stingley. He'll tell you the same thing. Because when we worked on his records, I said the first thing was Earth, Wind, and Fire. Chicago's another big band that I love. I always would go see Chicago when they came into town in New York. I go see them. I'm big into Cool. I'm into all those bands, Crown Heights, all that stuff. I grew up with that stuff. So
Crown Heights Affair. Oh my God, the good
Randy Muller. I gotta get Randy Muller on this show.
Not too long ago. They were awesome, man. Crown Heights Affair. Woo. Great musicians, man. Listen, man, you don't have me here long. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Marshall said to me, Marshall said, "Uh-oh, this is getting serious now. We're listening to him preach us." All right, everyone. Next week, DC LaRue from Cathedrals Era, Casablanca Records.